Stop thinking you need to sell a kidney to own a reliable wheel gun. That is the biggest lie floating around gun store counters today. The guys behind the glass want you to believe that if it does not have a pony or a Smith logo stamped on the side, it is going to blow up in your hand. That is nonsense. You do not drive a Ferrari to the grocery store, and you do not always need a $2,000 heirloom to defend your front door. Sometimes you just need a tool, a hunk of steel that goes bang when you pull the trigger. We are looking at the budget beaters today, the truck guns, the tackle box guardians. We are ranking them from the ones that are barely more than toys to the absolute workhorses that I would trust with my life. Let's see what your dollar actually buys you. First up on the list at number 10 is arguably the most controversial piece of steel you can fit in your pocket. The North American Arms Mini Revolver. People look at this thing and think it is a belt buckle or a piece of angry jewelry. It is microscopic. You can hide this inside a pack of cigarettes. But here is the reality check. It is barely a gun. Holding this thing is like trying to hold on to a furious hornet. There is no grip to speak of. You have to cock the hammer for every single shot, and reloading it requires you to take the whole cylinder out like you are operating a musket from the Civil War. I saw a guy at the range once trying to qualify with one of these for his backup carry. He could not hit a silhouette target at 7 yards. It is not a precision instrument. It is a get-off-me gun, strictly a last-ditch option when everything else has gone wrong. It earns the bottom spot because, while it is cheap and built like a Swiss watch, its practical use is incredibly narrow. It is better than a sharp stick, but not by much. Moving up to number 9, we have the Heritage Rough Rider. If you grew up watching westerns on Sunday morning, this is the gun that catches your eye. It is the gateway drug for revolver fans. It looks the part. It feels like a cowboy gun. And it costs less than a good pair of boots. But let's be real about what this is. It is a plinker, a tin can killer. The finish on the frame is not high-grade steel. It is an alloy that feels a bit like a toy if you look too close. The safety is a manual lever on the side, which is blasphemy to purists, but it makes it safe for teaching new shooters. My buddy down in Texas keeps one of these in his tractor. He calls it the Snake Charmer. It runs .22 long rifle, so you are not stopping a bear or a home invader with it unless you are extremely lucky. It is fantastic for spending an afternoon turning money into noise without breaking the bank. Just do not confuse this fun little toy with a serious defensive tool. It is for smiles, not for survival. Number 8 is the Diamondback Sidekick. This is what happens when you take that cowboy vibe from the Rough Rider, but try to inject some modern utility into it. It looks like the old high-standard revolvers from back in the day. The big selling point here is capacity. This thing holds 9 rounds. 9 shots of .22 is a lot of lead for a wheel gun. It features a swing-out cylinder, which is a massive upgrade over the loading gate on the Heritage. You can reload this thing fast, but it sits low on the list because the quality control can be a mixed bag. I have handled some that were smooth as glass, and others that felt like they had sand in the action. The trigger pull on double action is heavy. I mean really heavy. You need a finger made of iron to pull it smoothly. It is a great kit gun for hiking or camping where your biggest threat is a squirrel or a raccoon, but that heavy trigger holds it back from being a top-tier trainer. At number 7, we step up to a bigger caliber with the Charter Arms Undercover. This is an American classic that has had a rough life. Charter Arms has been around forever, and they have gone out of business and come back more times than a horror movie villain. The Undercover is their snub-nose .38 special. It is lightweight. In fact, it is too light. Shooting defensive ammo through this thing is unpleasant. It snaps back into your hand like a high five from a sledgehammer. The finish is usually functional but rough. You will see tool marks. The cylinder lockup can get loose over time if you abuse it. However, it works. It is the Honda Civic of the revolver world. It is not pretty, it is not refined, but if you keep it clean, it will do the job. It is a decent option for concealed carry if you are on a strict budget, but just know that practicing with it is not going to be a fun experience. Number 6 brings us some German engineering with the EAA Windicator. This thing is a tank, literally. It is heavy, blocky, and built from chunks of steel that feel like they were left over from a panzer factory. The name is supposed to be Vindicator, but the import translation messed it up, and now we are stuck with Windicator. Because it is so heavy, it soaks up recoil like a sponge. Shooting .357 Magnum out of this is actually manageable, which is rare for a budget gun. But that weight is also its downfall. Trying to carry this on your belt all day is like carrying a brick. It will pull your pants down. The grip is huge and rubbery. It fits big hands well, but feels awkward for everyone else. This is a nightstand gun, plain and simple. You put it in a drawer, you leave it there, and you know it will work if things go bump in the night. Just do not try to hike 10 miles with it. Cracking the top 5, we have the Rock Island Armory M206. This is the snub-nose version of their revolver line. It is ugly. There is no other way to say it. The finish is a flat, dull, parkerized coating that looks like it was applied with a spray can in a garage. The grips are often checkered wood that feels a bit too thick. But here is the thing. It shoots. It shoots every time. The action is actually based on an old Colt design, so the trigger is surprisingly decent for a gun that costs less than a car payment. I knew a security guard who carried one of these for 3 years. He treated it terrible. Never cleaned it. Dropped it twice. We took it to the range, and it still put all 6 rounds into the center mass at 7 yards. It is the definition of a workhorse. It has 0 resale value and 0 sex appeal, but it has plenty of reliability. Number 4 is the Rossi RP63. Rossi has made a massive comeback recently. For a while, their quality was questionable, but these new models are different. The RP63 is a 3-inch barrel revolver, chambered in .357 Magnum. That 3-inch barrel is the sweet spot. It gives you enough length to get good velocity and sight radius, but it is still short enough to conceal. The finish is stainless steel, and it actually looks good. The rubber grip handles recoil well. The trigger is miles ahead of the Charter Arms or the EAA. So why is it not number 1? Because the price is creeping up. It is pushing the boundary of what we consider budget. It is a great gun, maybe even the best-looking gun on this list, but it is starting to compete with used Smith & Wessons in terms of price, and that is a tough fight to win. Number 3 is the Ruger Wrangler. This is the king of the rimfire revolvers. Ruger looked at the Heritage Rough Rider and said, "We can do that, but better." And they did. The Wrangler is built with a Cerakote finish that makes it almost impervious to rust and sweat. It uses a transfer bar safety system so you can carry it safely with all 6 cylinders loaded. The loading gate opens freely without needing to half-cock the hammer. It just feels solid. It feels like a Ruger. For a survival kit, a tackle box, or just teaching your kids how to shoot, this is the gold standard of budget guns. It is not a self-defense powerhouse, but for pure value and quality control per dollar, it is almost impossible to beat. It is the gun everyone should own just because it is cheap and it works. Number 2 is the big brother to the snub nose we talked about earlier, the Rock Island Armory. This is the 4-inch barrel version. It looks like a detective's gun from a 1970s gritty cop movie. It has those cheap plastic grips that feel slippery and the same ugly finish as the M206. But that 4-inch barrel changes everything. It balances the gun perfectly. The extra weight out front tames the recoil of .38 special ammo to almost nothing. It is accurate. I mean, surprisingly accurate. You can ring steel plates at 25 yards with this ugly thing all day long. It is the ultimate just-in-case gun. You can buy one, throw it in your toolbox, and forget about it for a decade. When you pull it out, it will function. It is not something you show off to your friends at a barbecue, but it is something you will be glad you have when the world goes sideways. And finally, the #1 spot. The undisputed champion of the budget revolver world. The Taurus 856. Taurus used to have a bad rap. We all know the stories, but the 856 is the gun that turned the ship around. This is a compact defensive revolver that holds 6 rounds, not 5. That one extra round matters when the adrenaline is dumping and your hands are shaking. It handles +P ammunition without complaining. The cylinder lockup is tight. The finish, whether you get the matte black or the stainless, holds up to daily carry. They offer it with night sights, different barrel lengths, and different grip options right out of the factory. I have run hundreds of rounds through my 856 without a single hiccup. It balances price, performance, and concealability better than anything else on the market right now. It is not just a good budget gun, it is a good gun. Period. It shoots like a tool that costs twice as much. For the price of a weekend getaway, you get a reliable 6-shot defender that disappears under a t-shirt. That is value you cannot argue with. The market is shifting. We are seeing better machining and better materials coming down to these lower price points. You no longer have to compromise safety just to save a few bucks. But remember, a budget gun requires testing. If you buy any of these, put rounds through it. Trust but verify. So, which one of these would you actually trust to protect your home? Are you taking the ugly workhorse or the modern defender? Let me know down in the comments. Check your gear, stay sharp. I'll see you on the range.